In our film, our main character is supposed to be a young adult white woman. She fits into typical conventions of a girl in normal films and doesn't challenge or contrast the stereotype in any way in the film. We chose to represent our main character like a normal, typical woman, is so that when the storyline unfolds, she becomes someone you wouldn't expect at the end. The cliffhanger leaves the audience questionable to her character about her personality maybe being a bit darker or her not being completely what she seemed at first, which starts to change her character slightly from being conventional to someone a bit deeper and different to the typical girl she looks like. Although it is seen in films, it's not necessarily the most common convention for the woman in the film to be the antagonist, and it is typically the male seen as the overpowering role. So we wanted a woman as the main character to sort of go against that convention, overpower the male role towards the end of the film. Doing this in our film takes the stereotypes of genders and almost flips them around and makes for an interesting storyline, which is why we wanted to do this. I think overall our film portrays gender quite well and the power status of the two and who holds it over the other. Although it is done a lot in popular thriller films, it still gives a controversial feel to the audience that the woman is overpowering the men in the film and doesn't quite fit that typical murderer storyline.
In our film, the main character is a young adult white woman. She complies with typical conventions of a girl in normal films and doesn't challenge or contrast the existing stereotypes in any way. We chose to represent our main character in keeping with the stereotype so that when the storyline unfolds, she becomes someone you wouldn't expect at the end or of an effective plot twist. The cliffhanger leaves the audience questioning her character and her personality as they appear darker and more complex, changing her character slightly from being initially conventional to someone a bit deeper and different. Although it's a popular occurrence in films, it's not necessarily the most common convention for the woman in the film to be the antagonist, as it's typically the male seen as the overpowering role. So we decided on a woman as the main character to counter that stereotype of gender and almost flip them around and make for an interesting storyline. I believe that overall our film portrays gender quite well and the power struggle of the two, as it's something different and doesn't quite comply with the typical murder plotline.